I will be if this actually works.
It will. It will. I've been through it before. Oh, man. That was good stuff. You want to pull Jesse in here if you want to yell at him?
Yes.
All right, go ahead. Go grab him. I'll stop. We'll get back to football. We'll get back to the Packers. Just send him in here. Don't tell him why you're sending him in here. Just send him in here. Don't tell him why. Just send him in here. All right. We're going to hash out this week. Look, I'm on vacation, as I mentioned on Monday. I'm on vacation the rest of the week. So no show Friday. We'll be back Monday. Excited for who we're going to talk to on Monday. It'll be college basketball related. But in the meantime, we have a beef developing that I just want to nip in the butt. Right? Like I'm not a big fan of beefs. I've never seen Hunter as angry as I just saw him. So we're just gonna get rid of it right away. So Jesse Nelson, who is our manager, me and Hunter's manager, program director, content manager here at ESPN Madison, apparently did something to piss off Hunter.
Why am I here?
Well, it'd be nice if Hunter turned on your mic too, but we'll get to that in a second.
Hunter does a great job producing this show, and I don't know what I'm about to get yelled at for, but I didn't do it.
You did do it.
You literally did do it.
Here we go. I've never seen him this upset, Jesse.
What did I do?
So I set up the YouTube stream. Thank you, everyone on YouTube, for finally being able to join us. Jesse Nelson decides right after Wilde and Tausch, he's going to pre-set up things for Zimbrick Honda's Prep Mania broadcast on Saturday.
Game Saturday.
Great. I don't care, Jesse.
Depeer Pewaukee.
Because you decided I'm just going to set this up. As we already had things ready to go for this show, it completely changed everything. We weren't live on YouTube for the first 8 minutes of the show. Couldn't figure out what was going on with it because we had to make this on YouTube right that very second when we have 8 other people in the office who could have set up the YouTube at any other time, and we didn't need to schedule that stream at
defending Division I state champion Depeer Redbirds.
Great.
Two-time defending D1, D2 state champion.
3.
Oh, yeah, 3-time defending state champs, Pewaukee Pie. Back to back. Yar! You kidding me? Pewaukee, Depeer. This is the game of the year in high school boys basketball in the state of Wisconsin.
Yeah. Can't wait to be there.
Zimbrick Honda's Prep Mania Saturday night, streaming exclusively on the ESPN Madison YouTube channel. You can also listen to it on 100.5 ESPN. What a game. We are going to have an Alex Strouf and the Dean Dennis Semrau have the call.
The sultry tones of me in that one.
6 o'clock tip.
Great. Just a little heads up to your team. No, I don't.
No,
because just some semblance of a heads up when you know we're going to go live on YouTube, making changes to our YouTube account, probably not the greatest idea.
They're going to have one of the Bucks DJs in the building that
night
in Pewaukee.
How'd you learn about that?
I talked to the athletic director the other day.
No accountability, Jesse? You're just going to go right over it?
I'm promoting a game. I don't know what you're complaining about.
The accountability I will take here is I walked him through how to fix it because he was throwing stuff back there.
I didn't throw anything.
Your hands were in the air. The headphones were flying. And I was like, chill out. I'm going to walk you through this on the air, how to fix this problem.
I mean, we've done this 50 times now. Usually I do it during KBN. It doesnn't impact anything going on with KBN.
Because KBN's already gone live.
Well, you set things up too far in advance then. You need to be a little 1 minute before.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm not from the Jesse Nelson School of Producing. I'm just going to come running in 2 minutes before I go on the air.
He seems dramatically angry.
Yeah.
Well, it would just be nice to have...
Almost as good as the drama's going to be Saturday night for Depeer and Pewaukee on Zimbrick Honda's Prep Mania.
Just be nice if my boss cared about... the job that I do and was like, hey, maybe I should watch out for them and let him actually, produce a show. But no, we can't have that happen.
I will say that, Hunter, you are an outstanding producer of this show.
I second that.
It looks as good as any program that's out there on any streaming platform.
Would have been nice if YouTube could have seen it for the first 8 minutes.
What I'd say is second best is the quality production of our Prep Mania broadcast, like Saturday night to Pewaukee, right here on the ESPN Madison YouTube channel.
Can I turn his mic off now?
And on 100.5 ESPN.
Thanks, Jesse. Thanks for popping in. Oh, do you feel better? I mean, I gotta be honest, I was really rolling on Badgers hoops there. And then we fully derailed. Legitimately, I've never seen you that angry. I wonder if there will be repercussions for what just happened there to you. Do you think there will be? Hey, you should treat people with a little bit more kindness.
A little bit more kindness, Come on. Like, it's literally, I'm going to go hardcore deep into radio right now, but it's literally like going and changing the preset of ads in the middle of somebody being live on a show. Like, you don't do that stuff.
Right, relax.
It didn't
relax.
need to happen.
Okay. Well, it's now taking.
But it doesn't happen to anybody else's show.
It's-
But oh no, it happens to Hunter. And then I'm going to be punished because heaven forbid I'm bothered by it. I know, it's the worst thing in the world.
Man. All right. So, for those of you now with us, whether you're on YouTube or whether you've been with us on the audio side, I don't plan stuff like that, right? Like, you don't plan a beef and an anger and the passion that we just got out of Hunter Vaughn. I didn't expect Jesse Nelson to come in here and just have a promotional bit in regards to avoiding any sense of accountability for messing up our show today as my microphone falls. I wanted to talk about the excitement around college basketball, and I did a little bit, and that's all I'm going to do. There's no way to transition back into that. So Badgers win. They snap the 4-game losing streak. Marquette sets up a Saturday date with the number 1 team in the country. It's the best time of year. We're gonna focus on college hoops next week on the show. So if you're a college hoops fan, stick with us. We've got some fun stuff coming next week. That's it. I want to talk about the Packers in 2024. I saw a couple of things as different sports books start rolling out odds, and I was really, really intrigued by 2 of them because I don't know if there's a parallel or if the books disagree because they're 2 different books. So first off, I'm taking a look at the DraftKings odds for MVP next year. Tied for number 5 in the MVP voting odds, according to DraftKings, is Packers quarterback Jordan Love, plus 1,200. You bet $100, you would win $1,200, according to DraftKings as it stands today. He's tied with Brock Purdy, also plus 1,200. The 4 options in front of them, in order, are Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, and Joe Burrow, which according to DraftKings means either Jordan Love or Brock Purdy will be the best quarterback in the NFC next year. That's what DraftKings says, as it stands on February 14th, on Valentine's Day, right? Like, we're just removed from the season, but as it stands right now, DraftKings says, yeah, Jordan Love, 5th favorite to win MVP. I went over to ESPNBet.com, and I wanted to take a look at the NFC Conference winner. What are the odds for that? Where do the Packers stand according to ESPN Bet and Penn Gaming? Packers also the 5th favorite to win the NFC, represent the NFC in the Super Bowl. They're plus 1,000 for that, so the odds are a little bit better for the Packers to make the Super Bowl than it is for Jordan Love to win the MVP. The 4 teams in front of them in order. San Francisco, the favorite out of the NFC, obviously big favorite. They have better odds to make the Super Bowl than the back-to-back defending Super Bowl champion Kansas City Chiefs, plus 225. Detroit is second. The Detroit Lions are the 2nd favorite to represent the NFC in the Super Bowl next year, coming off the NFC Championship game appearance. Hunter, you'll like this. This will cheer you up. Number 3 in the NFC, according to ESPN Bet, is the Dallas Cowboys at plus 700 to represent the NFC.
So they can just break my heart in the playoffs again? Cool.
And you can lose your money if you go to a state where it's legal. Philly is the 4th, plus 800, and as I mentioned, Packers 5th at plus 1,000. Some of the high value plays, if you will. Tampa Bay is plus 3,000 all the way down at number 11 in the NFC. So looking at those 2 stats, right, those 2 sports book odds tells me the Packers are back to having high expectations, which I understand we knew was coming given the season, getting a playoff win, getting to the playoffs, beating the 2 seed on the road. You're seeing your quarterback develop into what will likely be a superstar, which we'll talk about more in a second. But the expectations are back for the Green Bay Packers, which is not a bad thing, right? High expectations means you're good, and we expect you to be consistently good. And that's where the Packers should be, with a young offense, some excitement and rejuvenation within the coaching staff, specifically on the defensive side of the football. Everything is turning up Packers. But Jordan Love's hype, the Jordan Love hype train, God forbid I say it, of all people. Can we pump the brakes a little bit? Like, don't get me wrong. Jordan Love was so damn impressive over the course of the second half of the NFL season. he's in the same breath, according to DraftKings, as Lamar Jackson and Joe Burrow, who, by the way, are two of the best quarterbacks in the league. And do I think Jordan Love can eventually get to top 5, top 7 quarterback level in the NFL? Absolutely. And I'm excited to do the exercise we're going to do next because it will tell me where he ranks. The thing is, though, I need to see it for a full season now, right? We needed to see the full body of work this season in order to make a true analysis of whether or not Jordan Love's the dude. And clearly, I said it after week 13 or the 13th game, whatever it was, against the Kansas City Chiefs. The Sunday night win, first weekend of December, over Kansas City. That was the day I knew Jordan Love was the franchise quarterback, at least for the foreseeable future. But to be the 5th favorite for MVP next year, exciting. Hell yeah. Expectations are fun. Winning is fun. But it makes me a little bit nervous. I'm not going to lie to you about it. It does make me a little bit nervous. So that's where I'm at on that. That is where I'm at on that. We will see, right? I mean, there's a ton more talk to be had about the Packers as those odds will change. And free agency rolls around 1 month from today, by the way. March 14th, the opening of free agency for the Green Bay Packers and the NFL. Go ahead, Hunter.
Last year, do you know who was 5th for the MVP?
Dak Prescott. Is that right?
No, preseason favorite. So going into this season, I phrased that poorly.
Who was the 5th favorite?
Yes. I'll go down 1 to 5.
Okay, so 1 would have been Mahomes, I guess. I would have.
Nope, Josh Allen was the favorite
Allen was
going
1,
into the
Mahomes
season.
was then 2?
Nope, Tua.
Really?
Yep, they had Tua at number 2. Mahomes was 3. Jalen Hurts 4.
Hurts was going to be my guess.
Lamar Jackson was number 5.
So you're telling me
I'm not saying,
if
but I'm
history
saying.
repeats itself, Jordan Love will win the MVP next year. Or Brock Purdy, because they're tied.
Yeah.
Which, honestly, I'm a big Brock Purdy fan all of a sudden.
He could
I said
do
this
it.
on Monday, but I was really impressed with him in the Super Bowl. Like, he wasn't terribly impressive. He was good, but he wasn't terribly impressive throughout the postseason. Super Bowl, I was impressed with him. So we will see. But history repeats itself. There you go. From the mouth of Hunter Vaughn, Jordan Love or Brock Purdy will be your NFL MVP next year. All right, we're going to play a game. No guest today. We've been talking about this for a few weeks, Hunter, but I want to. So we do tiers, right? Like that you've all seen this. It's going to pop up on the screen in a minute, but I will walk you through it as well on the audio side. There was tiers of everything, right? Candy bars, sodas. If you did one with beers, right? There's the Supreme tier, the S tier. I think that stands for Supreme. You'd put the Badger Club from Lake Louie in the S tier, and everything else would fall beneath that. In terms of quarterbacks, which we will lead off with in a moment, that's going to be where Patrick Mahomes lives, and nobody else is going to touch that area. So you tiered. So the tiers I have 6 tiers. So S, which, Hunter, does that stand for Supreme? I know I'm not that old.
Superior. It's kind of a video gaming thing.
Got it. So S is just what it's listed as. That's where Mahomes will live. And then the 5 categories after that are elite, franchise quarterback, good enough, on thin ice, and it's time to move on. Right? So I have 33 quarterbacks ready to rank. I don't know which team is to be real honest with you. But I do know that I have 33 quarterbacks ready to rank. And I don't know who.
Well, I see Carson Wentz on there.
So the cutoff is Andy Dalton. So Jimmy G is number 33. But there's I don't know. We'll figure it out as we go through the exercise. Yeah, we're smart guys. All right, so we're going to start with Mahomes. I mean, let's just put him in the S tier. And like I said, nobody else is going to live there. This is where it gets fun. Quarterback 2, Justin Herbert. And he's a guy I struggle with. Jim Harbaugh coming in excites me, but this is post-2023 rankings. These are not my quarterback rankings going into next season. So Justin Herbert will go in the franchise quarterback category. I'm not ready to call him elite, and I think he's better than good enough. Justin Fields is our next quarterback. And this one's tough because I do think he's a good quarterback and can be a good quarterback. He just wasn't in Chicago. So Justin Fields will fall into the on thin ice category, although he will be moved on from this offseason. We assume, at least, right? Like, I was telling Jim Rutledge, our resident Bears, Chiefs, Taylor Swift fan, Stan Simp, before we jumped on today. My TikTok feed has been infiltrated with commentary around what to do with Justin Fields. And I'm fascinated by the idea of drafting Caleb Williams and sitting him for a year. I think it would be a phenomenal play by the Bears. I just don't think it happens. They're going to move on from Fields. He's going to go somewhere and probably be an immediate starter. And hopefully, I like Justin Fields. Despite the Ohio State and Chicago Bears ties, I like Justin Fields. And I want to see him succeed. So we'll see what happens there. Daniel Jones is our next quarterback on the list.
Just move him up that little inch. That's what you want to do.
Legitimately, it's the toughest one. It's either on thin ice or time to move on, but I'm going to go. I'm with you. Despite the big contract he just signed, he's time to move on category. He will be the first quarterback that falls in there. Josh Allen is elite. No discussion needed there. Geno Smith goes in the good enough category. So we are through 6 quarterbacks. We have a quarterback in each category. Mahomes and S, Josh Allen and elite, Herbert and franchise, Geno and good enough, Justin Fields on thin ice, and Daniel Jones, it's time to move on. Which, if you read into it the way you should, I'm saying Justin Fields and Geno Smith are better quarterbacks than Daniel Jones. Hunter, do you agree with that? As an NFC East fan.
Yeah. I've never been sold on Daniel Jones.
I haven't either.
Yeah, I don't get why people love him.
My greatest fear was he won a playoff game last year, right? Like he wins a playoff game
Great.
on the road.
Dak Prescott's won playoff games.
Dak Prescott's a hell of a lot better than Danny Jones. All right, so 6 in. Let's go to Joe Burrow. Now, the way I'm doing this, and I don't know if this is typically how people do it, because if you're in the same tier, you're just in the same tier. I'm going to rank within the tiers. So Joe Burrow and Josh Allen will fall into the elite category. If I was starting a franchise and I was promised health, I want Joe Burrow over Josh Allen. I think Joe Burrow is the second best quarterback in the league, if he's healthy. But that's the issue. 4 seasons in the league, 2 season-ending injuries in his career. That scares me. But if he's fully healthy and get back to 100%, I think he's the second best quarterback in the NFL. And by the way, he's the only quarterback to beat Patrick Mahomes in an AFC Championship game. So maybe that's not true. But he's one of the 2.
Tom Brady.
Tom Brady did it too. You're absolutely correct.
Yeah, Joe Burrow, he's almost starting right now. He's reminding me of Carson Palmer. Dude's incredible when he was playing, but he kept having knee injuries.
No, that's interesting, but I hope he doesn't go on the Carson Palmer trajectory.
Yeah.
Because Palmer, you're right, he was a great quarterback, or a really good quarterback, I should say. But he made all those different stops there at the end then, right? Like Arizona and I think it was Oakland technically at the time. It might have been Vegas.
So,
I think it was Oakland still. But he's like a guy that had a Hall of Fame talent. He's probably just not a Hall of Fame quarterback because of the lack of winning. All right, here's a really fun couple coming up. Oh, I remember. Sam Darnold's the 33rd, so we're going to get rid of him and just do a clean 32. How's that sound, Hunter?
Sounds great.
C.J. Stroud. Where the hell does he belong? I think it's franchise. He wins Rookie of the Year. He comes in and completely blows expectations out of the water. He wins a playoff game with Houston. He's a franchise quarterback. He's behind Herbert just because he's only done it for a year, but he's there. I would put him in a top 3 tier.
I can't put a rookie in top 3. Do it for another season, then go ahead.
That's fair enough. I'll give you that, but we'll see how you feel about this one. Jared Goff, also a franchise quarterback, but behind C.J. Stroud.
What?
I'm very high on Jared Goff.
Come on. You can't tell me that you genuinely... I think any of these franchise, elite, and obviously S, those are guys that you're like, okay, we need you to win us this game right now. Jared Goff's not that guy. He's not that guy.
He's that guy.
You're not that guy, pal. You're not that guy.
Bryce Young is our next quarterback. I can't say it's time to move on because it's year 1, but I'm just going to say on thin ice because they were horrible this year. Everything was horrible. They moved on from their coach midseason. Give him another year or 2, but he's not good enough. At least he wasn't this year. So the other rookie goes in on thin ice behind Justin Fields.
At least he's small enough that the ice won't crack. So there's that for him.
That just seemed rude.
He's tiny.
Excuse me.
I'm just saying, he's tiny.
He is. Sam Howell, our next quarterback. I will also put him on thin ice, but I will put him between Bryce Young and Justin Fields. We'll see what Washington does. I imagine they'll draft a quarterback with the new regime in there, ownership, head coach, and GM. But, yeah, I would imagine it's actually no. You know what? We're moving him down. Time to move on from Sam Howell. It was a fun experiment.
Yeah, the franchise is going to do it. So, yeah, he's going to be a great backup for a long time, and he's going to be one of those guys that you play the game with of random NFL players that you can name.
Yep. So the next one is Anthony Richardson. This one's tough just because he didn't really play a lot. He had exciting flashes, but then it was the Gardner Minshew show for most of the season for Indy. So we're just going to put him in on thin ice. We're going to put him pretty much equivalent to Bryce Young. Like, I don't know. I'm going to struggle ranking the on thin ice ones because they're all situational, and that's where I'll put the guys that are in tough situations, including Anthony Richardson. We'll know what he is next year, but I just really don't have enough information to judge him on. Jalen Hurts will lead the good enough category.
What?
This season was tough. I think he gets back to form next year, but this is a reminder. This is a post-2023 rankings. Philly was atrocious down the stretch, including Jalen Hurts. And the guy he's sitting next to, Geno Smith, like the moment I knew Philly were frauds was the moment I saw Seattle beat them on Monday Night Football. I think that was week 15 of the season, maybe week 16. And I think they had lost like 3 in a row at that point, despite starting the season as well as anybody. I might be a little biased on Jalen because he's probably better than Jared Goff, but like Jared Goff played better than him this year. So I'm gonna make Jalen Hurts the face of good enough as it stands right now, which might be, according to your reaction, my worst take yet. Kirk Cousins. Good enough. He's good enough. He's not a franchise quarterback anymore. I just don't know if he's capable of it. Obviously, deals with the injury this year. He's not elite. He's obviously not S, whatever S means. Kirk is behind Jalen, ahead of Geno, and good enough. So there we have 2 in every category and 3 in a couple. So elite, Joe Burrow, Josh Allen. Franchise, Herbert, Stroud, Goff. Good enough, Hurts, Kirk, Geno. On thin ice, Justin Fields, Anthony Richardson, and Bryce Young. Those last 2 for different reasons. Time to move on from Sam Howell and Danny Jones. Sorry, Kyler. You're going to lead that category. Time to move on from Kyler Murray. I'm over it. Between the injuries and that team moving on from every head coach in the world, it seems. They're keeping Jonathan Gannon, if I'm not mistaken. But, meh. Kyler just doesn't excite me like he did at Oklahoma. Sorry, Kyler. Maybe a change of scenery would be good from him or for him, right, if he went to like an Atlanta. But I'm over Kyler in Arizona. It just doesn't excite me.
Yeah, it's either change of scenery or somehow convince Activision to change the release date of Call of Duty to the offseason for him. Then he'll be fine.
It's true. It's usually, November, Call of Duty, typically?
Yeah.
Okay, nice. Lamar Jackson's next. He's going to be 3rd in our elite category. I'm gonna keep him behind Allen and Burrow despite the 2 MVPs. I don't know why. And I also said this to Rutledge as we were talking about some of the quarterbacks in the league. Lamar, I feel like I'm too low on because he kind of broke my heart. I jumped on the Ravens flock bandwagon after the Packers were eliminated, and I just didn't love how he played in the AFC Championship game. He got there, which is important, right? Like the 2 guys I have in front of him did not get there in the elite category. Lamar was there. He's at home. I just thought he didn't play very well. I really want to see him win. And he did win a nice playoff game in the divisional round, but it was Houston, right? Like it was kind of a Cinderella story. I want to see him win a big playoff game. And legitimately, I could probably call him the 2nd or 3rd best quarterback in the NFL. Right now, I have him at probably number 4, but we'll continue to go through the list. Baker's next. He's right behind Hurts, ahead of Kirk at good enough. I hope he's back in Tampa because I think at this time next year, if he's back in Tampa, we're talking about him as a franchise quarterback. Like I think he could have the revitalization that Jared Goff had in Detroit, where it's like, wow, this is the best move of your career, although you didn't really see that coming. Baker's an amazing story. Really cool for him. Great year to rebound. Had some big quality wins. Nice game in the playoffs. 2 really nice games in the playoffs, but he had a couple of picks against Detroit in the divisional round. I like Baker a lot, and I've been a Baker fan the entirety we've done this show for the last 6 months. But I think Baker belongs in good enough, Hunter. It looks like you have a comment on that one.
Yeah, I'm so happy that Tampa and Todd Bowles is letting him be Baker, which I think has been huge for him.
That's
he kind
well
of
said,
fits
actually,
the pirate kind of ideal of Tampa as well. They have the Gasparilla, which is like their version of Mardi Gras, and like he just fits with it, and I'm really happy for him. I like him.
Hold on. Did you just indirectly call Baker Mayfield a pirate?
Yeah.
You are a fascinating dude.
Of all of the quarterbacks in the NFL, you can't tell me that Baker Mayfield isn't the most pirate-esque.
That's fair. That's
Yarr.
fair. We have 14 left. 14 quarterbacks to go. And then we will recap about halfway through. We'll do a few more, we'll recap, and then we'll wrap it up. Derek Carr is the next quarterback.
Jesse Nelson's guy. So you know where I want to put him.
Time to move on. If Jesse Nelson was on this list, would you put him on thin ice or time to move on?
He's on thin ice because this is the first time I've been really upset with him. But he'd be fringe on time to move on.
I'm going to go Derek Carr on thin ice, and I will put him. I will put him ahead of Bryce Young and after Anthony Richardson. But again, it's different scenarios. He had a fine season in New Orleans, and I think he can be a good quarterback. But I might be low. I might be too low on Derek Carr.
No, I don't think you're low enough. I think he is the closest to time to move on. Being a veteran and you're going to put him ahead of a rookie, that's just crazy to me. Like, he has had plenty of opportunities to show what he can do in the NFL.
That's true.
You know what he is at this point.
That's true. Moving on to Dak Prescott. Good enough.
Good enough. Yep. He's ahead of Baker. Stop it.
Ahead of Baker?
Yes.
I'll give you the authority to do that. I'm okay with that.
Yeah. Like, I think Jalen Hurts is a franchise guy, so really I think Dak is now the face of good enough. Dak and Kirk
So you want
Cousins,
it to look like this?
Yes.
I'm not doing that. I just can't do it to Jalen after this year. I'm sorry.
I understand, but I do like Jalen Hurts as a quarterback.
I'm going to stand firm on that one.
All the good enough guys.
I also like Jalen. I think all the good enough guys are good enough, and that's why they're there.
Yeah, they're good enough where your team is not going to lose because of them often, but they're not the reason why you win games.
So if you're watching on the visual side, and if you're listening on the audio side, so again, the category is S, elite, franchise, good enough, on thin ice, time to move on. The line between good enough and on thin ice is essentially the line of you feel comfortable moving on from this guy, right? So the Bears feel comfortable moving on from Justin Fields. The Colts would probably feel comfortable, although they won't do it, at taking another bite at the apple at quarterback if they just decided Anthony Richardson wasn't their guy anymore. The Saints could find a replacement for Derek Carr. Bryce Young, really bad rookie season, but he got thrown to the Wolves in a bad situation. So could the Panthers dramatically upgrade if they went out and got let's say, Kirk Cousins? My answer would be yes, right? Despite Kirk just being one category above and good enough. So that line under good enough essentially represents like, hey, here's who I think can be a starting quarterback in the NFL for a while. So there's my take. Deshaun Watson.
Move on.
Yeah, he's on move on. From a football perspective, he's probably low good enough, but I'm just going to put him in last because he's Deshaun Watson. Actually, though, oh, man, I didn't realize these guys were back-to-back. My least favorite quarterback in the NFL is up next. So yeah, I'm having like a moral dilemma right now of like, okay, do I put Deshaun Watson, who allegedly did some awful things, and I say allegedly because it was never charged, and I don't want to get sued. And then I have Mac Jones, who I just think is a horrible quarterback. Seems like a nice guy. Like I've seen some of his press conferences. He seems like a nice guy. He seems like a guy I would hang out with. But he's a bad NFL quarterback, at least at a starting perspective. I'm going to put him ahead of Deshaun Watson, but it's definitely time to move on. All right, the one we've all been waiting for. Jordan Love is next. And then you get into the fun ones of Kenny Pickett, Desmond Ridder, Russell Wilson. Right, we've got some duds coming up, which I'm looking forward to. Jordan Love is really, really, really tricky for me. Because I just talked about it with the MVP odds, right? Like I've seen him do amazing things for half of a season, but I haven't seen him do it for a full season. You can kind of treat him like a rookie. So for subscribing to Hunter's theory on C.J. Stroud, which I disagree with, is you need to see him do it for 2 seasons. He can't be a franchise quarterback.
Yes.
I struggle with this. See, now that I did some of these rankings, it depended on the order I went in, I feel like, because I want to put Love above Goff and Stroud. But I can't do that because I don't think he's a franchise quarterback. So I might have just biffed all this. I do think he will be a franchise quarterback. I just don't think I'm ready to call him that.
And I think his floor is good enough.
I'm putting him in franchise.
You're such a homer.
I am, but also like I could make a good justification for having him in front of Jared Goff or having him in front of C.J. Stroud. Right? I'm not ready to put him above Herbert, although he's won more playoff games than Herbert and fewer chances. But I will put him at the backup franchise quarterback because I think he's just above the good enough line. He's going to get paid like a franchise quarterback. He's going to have the opportunity to be a franchise quarterback, right? They're not drafting a replacement for him. Sean Clifford ain't coming in to save the Green Bay Packers if things go south next year. So Jordan Love, end of the franchise quarterback category for me. It's a tough one. But as I just do this exercise, I'm struggling where to put people. The next one is Kenny Pickett. Sorry, bud. It's time to move on. You're actually at the front of it, though. I think he's the best quarterback in the time to move on category. But it's time to move on. Pittsburgh needs something fresh. And maybe they go to the well here, right? Like maybe Kirk ends up in Pittsburgh. I think Baker's back in Tampa. But if I'm the Steelers, I'm making a run at Baker.
Have some of your TikToks, I've come across some people saying that maybe Justin Fields to Pittsburgh is the move.
Yeah. I like that.
Yeah. We need to ask Jim Rutledge about that.
Let him compete, right? Let Pickett and Fields compete. I think Fields wins, but I actually love that idea. And then Pickett becomes their backup. Brock Purdy. Franchise quarterback, ahead of Stroud, ahead of Goff, ahead of Love, behind Herbert. Which, if you're reading into this, that makes Brock Purdy the best quarterback in the NFC. We haven't done Stafford yet. And that's really the only relevant NFC quarterback we have yet to rank because Desmond Ridder is next, and he's going low on the time to move on list. He's going to go behind Daniel Jones and ahead of Mac Jones. It's a Jones sandwich for Desmond Ridder on the bottom. Wow. Okay, let's recap before we get to Rodgers. Mahomes, S. He will be the only one there. Burrow, Allen, Lamar, elite. Franchise quarterbacks. Herbert, in order. Herbert, Purdy, Stroud, Goff, Love. Good enough. Hurts, Prescott, Baker, Kirk, Geno. All NFC guys. On thin ice. Fields, Richardson, Carr, Young. Time to move on. Pickett, Kyler, Howell, Daniel Jones, Ridder, Mac Jones, and the guy we don't mention in Cleveland. That's where we stand with 5 or 6 to go. 6 to go. 7 to go, excuse me. Aaron Rodgers. This one's so tough, but he's elite. Like I just until proven otherwise. I mean, he was hurt all year. I mean, that's really tough to rank him. But like, I know he's 40. I know he's in a new offense. Well, it's a Hackett offense, so not that new, but it's a different team. He's still Aaron Rodgers. He's still one of the most talented we've ever seen. I know we should usually subscribe to the theory of if you're 40, you fall off as a quarterback. Only a few have done it, obviously, and Brady broke that rule. I feel like Rodgers is going to – I mean, what we've learned about Aaron Rodgers throughout his time in Green Bay is if you put a chip on his shoulder, he's going to be amazing, right? He's going to go win MVPs when you draft his replacement. He's going to win big games. He's going to win games he shouldn't win if he's pissed off. If he gets hurt, he's going to come back on whatever he was on, that Sunday night game against Chicago. He's going to tear him up in the second half. Rodgers is elite until proven otherwise. I'm not hearing an argument on that.
Well, the nice thing, too, with Rodgers is the fact that his skill set, he can win without needing to move around like Josh Allen or Lamar Jackson.
Yeah.
So, like, even if you're worried about coming back from this injury, like, he's going to beat a defense with his mind.
Yeah, you're absolutely right about that. Russ.
Move on. I love Russ. I've got a Seahawks jersey. Just, it's time.
Well, for Denver, it is. But what if you're like Atlanta? You're moving on from Ridder. Russell Wilson's an upgrade, right?
I mean, yes, but he's...
Hold on. Let me throw a couple more at you. Pittsburgh. Is Russell Wilson an upgrade over Kenny Pickett?
Yeah.
New England. He's clearly an upgrade over Mac Jones, right?
Yeah. So if anything, he's leading the time to move on.
I'm going to put him at the back end of on thin ice because he is going to get moved on from, is at least what it sounds like. So he is going to get moved on from, but give me one more year with Russell Wilson. Give me one more. Give me one more year. One more.
Okay. I'll give you one more.
One more year. Matthew Stafford might be the toughest one in this list. He's the best quarterback in the NFC, in my opinion. He's won a Super Bowl. He was terrific in Detroit. He's been really good in L.A. when he's been healthy. He's getting older, though, is the issue. I'm going to have him lead the franchise quarterback list. I'm going to put him ahead of Herbert. He's going to win the battle of L.A. I'm going to have them right next to each other, L.A., with as it stands right now with the list, and I imagine it'll stay that with 4 to go. But Stafford, Herbert, Purdy, actually. All California quarterbacks.
Oh, interesting.
All 3 in a row. And that is interesting. All in the franchise. Good. Congrats to California. You guys got some franchise quarterbacks.
Way to go.
Happy for you. State of California. Shout out Arnold Schwarzenegger, the former governor. So, yeah, we'll put Stafford in franchise. So we have 6 quarterbacks in franchise, led by Stafford, ended by Love. Elite, we have 4 quarterbacks, started by Burrow, ended by Rodgers. Good enough has 5, started by Hurts, ended by Geno. Trevor Lawrence is somewhere in the middle of all that, although this was a tough year for him and a tough end of the year for him as they missed the playoffs. He's definitely good enough, but where does he fall in good enough? I would say probably ahead of Geno. I'd probably take him against above Kirk because of the age. Baker had a nice season, but I'd probably still put Lawrence above Baker, and I don't think I can justify taking him over Dak or Hurts. So I'll put him 3rd in good enough.
Yeah, the problem is you see those flashes of him getting into franchise, and I think even up to elite, but he doesn't do it every time. And that's what's so tough with him and with Dak and for you with Jalen Hurts. Like those 3 are kind of the same, and like I've seen them play as well as Joe Burrow, but I've also seen them play as well as Justin Fields.
I would agree with that. 3 left. This might be one of the tougher ones too. Is Tua? He's probably somewhere between good enough and franchise. Like he's somewhere in this mixture. I just don't know where in said mixture he belongs. Because, and again, we'll just run through it again. Is he better than Geno? I'd say yes. Is he better than Kirk? Probably. That one's tough. Is he better than Baker right now? Probably. He's not better than Lawrence overall, but is he better than him right now? Probably. And the weapons help, obviously, right? Like he's got 2 great receivers in Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, but he utilizes them. And Miami was a really explosive offense this year, so I'm going to put him just a smidge ahead of Trevor Lawrence. Tannehill, time to move on. We'll throw him right in the middle ahead of Daniel Jones. Jimmy G, same thing, same spot. And that's our list. That's our list. So, because I'm not ranking Andy Dalton. I don't know who the next guy is if you see it on the video screen. He's wearing a Panthers jersey. I don't know who that is.
Yeah, we couldn't figure it out.
Carson Wentz is probably on the farm. Zach Wilson doesn't deserve my time. I don't know who that is. That's Kyle Trask. That's Trey Lance. Who's that? The bald guy. I recognize that face. I just don't know who that is. Oh, that's is that Ellinger maybe?
Yeah.
No, it's not. That's not Ellinger. That's Heineke. Don't know who the next guy is. Matt Ryan's on this list for some reason. He was working for CBS this year. Davis Mills and Sam Darnold. We're not going to touch those guys. So this is our final list. So 1 through 33 is on the screen. Mahomes is 1, Burrow 2, Allen 3, Lamar 4, Rodgers 5. That's your first 2 categories. 6 through 11, Stafford, Herbert, Purdy, Stroud, Goff, Love. I have him outside of the top 10. I have Jordan Love as the number 11 quarterback in the league right now. I don't know how I feel about that.
He's got to do more.
That's why I wanted to do this exercise.
Yeah.
Because I was curious how much my bias would play into it. I was curious, what maybe I'm projecting on next year. And I tried to do my best of eliminating projection, right? Like I just tried to do this season, what I thought. And the value to the team matters. So Love at 11, I think he'll jump up next year, right? Like, is it reasonable to think he could leapfrog Goff, Stroud, Purdy, Herbert all next year? Yeah, I think that's possible. Good enough. We have 7 names in there. It's Hurts, Prescott, Tua, Trevor Lawrence, Baker, Kirk, Geno. So that would be 12 through 18. 20 through 24 is Fields, Richardson, Carr, Young, Russ. And then the rest, time to move on, is where all these guys fall into. Wow, I am critical of these guys. Pickett, Kyler, Howell, Jimmy G, Tannehill, Danny Jones, Ritter, Mac Jones, Cleveland. Wraps up our list.
Well, I think it's fair to be critical of guys because with the NFL, if you know you don't have the guy, then go find someone else.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because as rare as it is, you can find at least like a Tony Romo who would have fit in franchise and then, good enough and floated back and forth around there. Like, that's better than they had Drew Bledsoe back there.
What did you just say?
Drew Bledsoe?
Bledsoe.
I'm sorry, I misspoke. But like my point is like again, you can find guys, and it's better to honestly. I think it's better to if you have any inkling that a guy might be able to be a starter in the NFL, and you're not positive on your current starter.
Sure.
Go try it.
Yeah, you're totally right about that, and I think that's tough, right? So it's a total of 19 guys we say are at least good enough, and then the other 13, 14, I think we did 33, fall under the category of on thin ice or time to move on. So it's a hard league to win in. It's a hard league to remain relevant in. And I think now more than ever there's some positivity from franchises, right? Like there's still hope Bryce Young and Anthony Richardson can be great. There's still hope Justin Fields can be great in another system or with another team. Derek Carr I still feel like can be great or be really good, maybe, like be in the good enough for franchise category if he can turn it around with New Orleans. But as it stands right now, no. Russ, give me one more year, I said. He's still on thin ice, and he's going to get moved on from. He's a fascinating case. So there you go. There's our exercise. That was fun. I enjoyed that. But the part I didn't enjoy about that, and I came to this conclusion before we did this exercise, when we decided we were going to do it, but I didn't think about it. I wanted to do it right off the fly, like we just did. But when I wrote the descriptions in Hunter on the right side of the screen, I wrote an acronym. Would you like to read the acronym?
PFSD.
You have any idea what that stands for?
No clue. I tried to ask you, and you wouldn't tell me.
I'm going to tell you right now. It stands for post-football season depression. I'm really sad. This sucks. I'm going to take the next couple of days off. I'm going to weep. I'm going to be sad. I'm going to cry. I'm going to be upset. I'm going to be angry. I'm going to be disappointed. I got to wait 6 months to talk about training camp.
Well, we could become the premier show of the Birmingham Stallions.
That's
and
true.
Chris Orr.
Yeah, we should set up a weekly film breakdown with him. I'm just sad, right? Like the NFL is kind of sad for me how much the NFL dictates my life and my happiness and my consumption of media and all the in-betweens, right? Like it is the biggest thing in my life, which maybe is more indicative of who I am and what I am for. But like Monday was fun because it's like, yeah, reaction. Everybody in the world watched it, right? Everybody's going to have an opinion on the Usher halftime performance and the overtime rule. Like everybody has an opinion on that. But now what do I connect with people on? Like there's still you watching the show who might like college basketball or the NBA, which we're going to get more into in the next couple of weeks. March Madness, NFL Draft, right? Like we can relate to some people on that. But you come off the highest of highs when it comes to relatability in American culture. Sunday and Monday. Everybody watched the Super Bowl. It's the most watched television program ever. And it is every year.
Since the moon landing.
Oh, it's not ever?
Nope. The moon landing, it was tough because they weren't tracking things, but estimates are about 150 million for the moon landing, and this got up to 123.
Okay, so second most ever?
Yes.
Okay, excuse me.
I'm just... That's
I
what
appreciate
I'm here
the correction.
So.
Yeah, that's what you're here for. You're kind of like Tony Reale on PTI back in the day. You're here to correct me.
Yeah.
You're here to throw stats at me. And occasionally you're here to yell at your boss, but that's neither here nor there.
Yeah, that might not have been a good career choice.
I mean, I agree, but I wanted to get it out of the way. So we'll see. We'll see what the fallout of that is here coming up momentarily. So yeah, I'm a little sad, but I'm looking forward to. I mean, there's still a ton of sports stuff going on. It's just, it's not the NFL.
But I think this is also a good opportunity for you to
broaden my horizons.
Yeah, broaden your horizons. I can make you watch some Brewer games while we go and have some of these burgers. I mean, granted, the season won't start, but we can watch some spring training baseball together.
And catchers today, right?
Yeah, exactly.
That's
so we can go have some burgers and try out the best burger in Madison bracket and watch some spring training, and then you can really get into some basketball. This is a good chance for you to, maybe watch some more sports. Maybe we could try some MLS.
I don't know about MLS. I don't know.
You played soccer in high school.
Yeah, as a joke, but I don't know about that. But you mentioned the burger bracket underway. We're still in round one, but we are under the third group of four. It's kind of like the group stages here in the round of 64. Your Options from yesterday and today are as followed, which you can vote on right now on Twitter at ESPN Madison if you're in the Madison area. Yesterday's poll has about 24 hours left. Deluxe in Madison leading the way. Mount Vernon, Tappan, Mount Horeb. Patty's at Boneyard in Madison, which is a truck which serves outside of Boneyard in there as well. And then Peg and Docks in the town of Dane. From yesterday's poll posted about 24 hours ago. And this one just went up an hour ago. Bucker Honey's in Monona. Club Lamarck, one of my favorite dive bars in Madison, is on here. Silver Eagle, another one of my favorite dive bars in the Madison area, in Monona is on here. Tipsy Cow and Sun Prairie leading the charge early in that one. You can go vote on those on Twitter, on X, at ESPN Madison. Brought to you by my friends over at Lake Louie Brewing and the Delicious Badger Club. Best beer to pair with a burger, and I'm not just saying that. Like, I was so excited that we got this partnership underway because it's literally my favorite beer to drink when I'm having something nice for dinner. Like, it's Valentine's Day. I'm a single dude, though, but like, I'll probably have Badger Club or 2 or 3 or 4 tonight. So, happy Valentine's Day.
Just be responsible.
I always am. So anyway, super excited to pair up with them on this. And like, as I told you on Monday when we released this thing, go to one of these places, have the burger, have a Badger Club with it, and then tweet me a picture at Alex_Strouf, or send it in on the YouTube chat or whatever, right? Like we found the best restaurants in the Madison area. We did the work for you with the best burgers. All 64 of these places are terrific. And they all have Badger Club available. So like, what can go wrong? You could literally eat a different burger and have a Badger Club at a different restaurant every day for the next 2 months. If you wanted to do that, which if somebody does that, that's amazing. I'll join you on 40 of those stops. So on Twitter at ESPN Madison for that. All right, time now for What Strouf Learned. I learned that there was a recent sad death, but it does revolve a happy life. At the age of 96, the creator of Pop-Tarts, William Post, has passed away. It's too bad, but I didn't read into it too much on Bill. But I would love to know how he came up with Pop-Tarts. Like, I've always wondered because I'm like an innovative dude, but I'm not an inventor, right? Like, there's a line there. I can come up with ideas. I'm not always the executor. That's why we keep you around. That's why we pay you the big bucks, Hunter. You're good at executing stuff.
Well, thank you.
I'm good at coming up with, like, okay, for example, for the show, right? Like, I was like, hey, I want this on the right side of the screen. I want this on the bottom. I don't really know what's going to look good. Take it and run with it. And you did, and you made it look great. William Post had to think of this idea out of nowhere. So my 2 quick questions for you, Hunter, are number 1, what is the best flavor of Pop-Tart?
The wild berry Pop-Tart.
Great pull. Great pull.
It's just so good.
I'm the brown sugar cinnamon one, probably my favorite.
I don't understand how people like that one. I just don't get it.
Well, I'll explain it as I ask the second question. Are you a room temp Pop-Tart guy, or does it have to go in the toaster?
Oh, does not matter at all. And I
figured you were going to say that.
I will eat the kind of crust part first.
Oh, that's weird.
To then save the like sandwich of the middle. Yeah.
Oh, you're a weird dude.
Yeah.
That's probably why you don't like the brown sugar cinnamon one as much as the other ones.
True.
Because it needs to be toasted, and it's like, it is to die for. So, but a great life for Bill Post. 96 years old, invented one of the most popular breakfast treats in the world. He was a bakery manager in Michigan when he came up with it, and then he turned into like this multi-billion-dollar business. So, pretty good life for Bill Post.
Now that I've learned that, I think his whole plan there was seeing like the turnovers or the like what is it, the strudels, and saying, hey, why don't we make these more of a to-go item instead of having the flakiness on it, and figure out a better breading for them. Brilliant man.
That would make sense. I mean, I would give you that. So there you go. That's what I learned today. I'm off Friday, so we will have no show. We'll be back with you Monday. We will be joined. I'm just going to do it. Nothing bad can happen, right?
I'm so excited for this.
I am too. I'm pretty fired up about it as well. We will be joined Monday by the head coach of UW Green Bay men's basketball, the Phoenix, in first place in the Horizon League in year 1 under head coach Sundance Wicks. Sonny will join us Monday. I've got a couple of big games coming up between now and then, including tonight at the Resch Center. If you're in the Green Bay area, go support them, man. I mean, they are. It's an incredible turnaround. I covered that team for 4 years, from 2013 through 2017. So I got to see some great teams. I got to see some great coaches. Brian Wardle, who's now at Bradley. Your favorite person's alma mater, Jesse Nelson's alma mater, Bradley. Brian Wardle, the head coach there now, but Kiefer Sykes, who had a rejuvenation in the NBA in the last couple of years. Alec Brand, who was an NBA draft pick. Didn't play a lot, but carved out probably the best NBA career. Alfonso McKinney was on those teams. So I got to see some really fun teams. But now this team goes from being last place in the Horizon League last year, firing Will Ryan after just a couple of years, the son of Bo Ryan, the legendary Wisconsin coach. And they bring in Sonny Wicks, who was an assistant at Wyoming. He comes in with his bring your own juice mentality and mantra and takes us from a worst to first. They are game ahead in the Horizon League after a big win the other night at Youngstown State, a buzzer-beating win as Foster Wonders hits a shot with like a second left. They're missing Noah Reynolds, who's the leading scorer in that game. So this team is primed for a nice run here as we get into the heart of college basketball season. So Sonny Wicks is going to join us on Monday for about 15 minutes. Really looking forward to that conversation with him. And as I mentioned, we're going to do some other college basketball stuff next week as we dive full in ahead of March. We're getting your bracket ready to win the office pool. And by the way, I can say that as the guy who won the Super Bowl office pool this year. I know what the hell I'm doing in office pools, so I'm going to help you as we get ready for March. We'll be back with you Monday. Have a fantastic weekend. Always appreciate you hanging out with us on Mr. Relevant. For Hunter Vaughn, I'm Alex Strouf. We'll talk to you on Monday. Peace.